everybody, and welcome to Primetime. We're here at the 2018 Chicago Pro. Prejudging just finished, and we're going to start off with your 212 division. Jose, what'd you see?
What I see? I seen Craig Richardson. He was the first one to jump out. We walked through the lineup, and there were a few guys that were okay. Everyone was decent. Then, bam, Craig came out. And he was the first really polished, big, full, symmetrical, complete guy. So he stood out immediately. And then as we went through, there were a couple other guys. Nobody kind of jumped out as much as him, but then you do the comparisons, and that's what the comparisons are for. And this kid, Caleb Blanchard, seemed to sneak out from nowhere, and they were really comparing him hard.
Yeah.
And I've said it for years. I've told Caleb himself, when he nails it, he's going to be really good. And today he showed he finally did nail it. He looked good in Dallas as well. He's had a few good showings, but today he held his own, if not beat Craig on a few shots. And probably the third spot is going to be Fernando Almeida. He's from Brazil.
Yeah.
He's been around quite a while. He's actually won a few shows. He's done the Olympia a few times. He's very good. And then I had my boy Lloyd Dalla.
Yes.
Who was a brilliant surprise, who signed up as an open guy.
Right.
I actually helped him, so I convinced him to come down to 212. He was about 230 just less than 2 weeks ago. And he came in good. He can still be better, but you know, this is a show he could win if he was 100%. So you know, it was a good lineup. There's been better lineups, but like we said, that's why we do the comparisons. When they start posing, people start looking good, start really starting to pop. As you notice, some guys were fading, some guys were getting better.
Right, absolutely.
And you know, I still think Craig is going to hold on to it. We'll see what the finals bring. But Caleb was hot on his heels. And then a few other guys, if they tighten up, if Fernando gets better, he might, you know, jump a spot, as well as Lloyd, you know.
Caleb really got harder and tighter as he posed. You know, like he said in a comparison. Lloyd Dalla was another guy who said that really popped when he came out on stage. How did you think?
I saw pretty much the same as Jose did. Something that I like, when I come to a bodybuilding show, especially at the pro level, I like when the judges work him. And the judges were working him hard. I want to see who's been practicing their posing, who's in good condition, who can hold the condition, who's not bent over catching their breath, because that's a guy I feel like is a blue-collar bodybuilder, is working hard, doing everything that he can to be the best on stage. And I think at the end of the day, you got Richardson, and you have Caleb. I think Caleb was getting stronger as he posed.
Absolutely.
But I think Richardson, you know, was just as strong from the beginning to the end, and I think that's why he stayed in the #1 spot.
So what ended up happening, guys, is you had Caleb, Fernando, and Craig called off. So that looks to be your battle for the top three. We'll see what tonight brings. You had a couple other guys moved around. A couple people faded. A couple people stayed strong, were really popping. Jose, like you said, it wasn't the strongest lineup, but at the top, you had a pretty good battle. Gary really worked these guys, so we'll see what happens tonight. Do you expect much of a change come this evening?
Not really, unless there was something really close, like, for example, Caleb and Craig. They're close, but I think Craig has it. If they're splitting hairs and tonight one fades and one comes back extraordinary, then that could really change things.
Yeah.
I don't foresee anything. Craig's been doing this a long time.
Absolutely.
He's not going to leave any stones unturned. In fact, he'll probably come back better.
A little sharper.
So I think he'll be able to walk away with it. If it were a younger guy, less experienced guy, who thinks he's got it in the bag and goes out and has pizza today, then he might be in trouble tonight, but I don't think that's the case for Craig.
Not going to happen to a savvy veteran.
No.
Well, there you have it. That's the 212 division. So stay tuned tonight. First and second is really close. There might be a change at the top. We'll wait and see. Catch us tonight. We're going to go to a commercial break and be right back.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what I was going to end up finishing the race that I started.
Hey everybody, Mandus here with Primetime. We're back. It's a 2018 Chicago Pro, and we're going to break down the figure lineup for you. Brent, this was a lineup that went on for days. It was almost 40 figure competitors, but it wasn't that tough a lineup. We've seen a lot better at smaller shows.
I agree. I think at the top, I think your top 2, top 3 definitely deserved where they wanted to be. I think Julia had the top spot knocked down completely. I thought she was head and shoulders above the rest. I thought it was really interesting how the judges worked the 2 and 3 spot. They had sorry, I forgot her name. Stacy. They had Stacy in the 2-hole for a while, very conditioned, very tight, and then at the very end they traded around her and Mara Brown.
Right.
And then as soon as they did that, they called those 2 off stage and then slid her back in the middle to where she's going to be 3rd. So I'd like to be a fly on the wall to see what the criticisms were and what the discussion was, just because they were out there a while and then made that switch at the very end.
Yeah, they brought 3 back out: Martina Harris, Leslie Rotella, and Tanya Weatherfall. All 3 of those looked pretty good. What ended up happening is a few of the others that were in first call-outs ended up sliding to the outside when they brought those 3 out. Somebody who just made their pro debut, who had done junior nationals, right?
Yeah, Autumn Cleveland. I love her look. She has no waist, very small waist, very lean. Her silhouette's great. She has a great look, but in standing with the girls today, in order for her to place better, she's going to have to add a little bit more muscle.
And she got exposed from the back. Great look, great pro debut.
Yeah,
definitely needs
top 10 at a pro debut after you're just won junior nationals a few weeks ago. Like, she should feel ecstatic about that. She's a great girl, and I'm sure she will come back even better, in her next show.
Absolutely. Now, Jose, again, we talked about this lineup went on for days. I think we had 3 pages of notes. The quality just wasn't quite there in this lineup. What did you see?
We had mentioned that as we were watching it, that really nobody jumped out.
Right.
There was no Latoria Watts. There was no Sid Gillian.
No.
But, I'm not always the one to ask about judging women, because I've made mistakes with that my whole life. But I'm going to have to agree that Autumn Cleveland, to me, really stood out in her presentation, in her polish, in her skin, in her femininity. Beautiful girl, in conditioning, everything. For a girl who just turned pro weeks ago to look this good in a lineup like this, in a pro lineup, even though it wasn't the strongest, it's still a pro lineup.
That's somebody to look out for here.
Your eyes were drawn to her as well, So certain competitors, when they go on stage, your eyes are immediately drawn to them, and that's one you were drawn to. Somebody else I want to talk about that we've talked about as they were coming out was Tanya Wheatfall. She was towards the end. Very good shape, very good structure, the small, tiny waist, the big lats. I was really surprised she didn't do better than she did.
Definitely her and Martina Harris, when they got called out, they ended up staying in the middle. I wouldn't be surprised if you see those 2 finishing up 3 and 4. And if they do any rejudging tonight, you might see one of those 2 girls slide up into the 2-hole. I think there was a little bit of a misplay there, but it definitely got corrected when they called them back up. Again, a very, very, very deep lineup. You commented on something earlier when we were sitting down in the pit that perhaps they need to shorten out a few less pro cards in the figure division, let a few of these girls develop a little more, because you see some of them who have some really good potential. They're just not quite ready for this particular stage.
Well, that's what we're seeing. You have 40, sometimes 50 girls on a pro stage, and maybe half of them really look professional. You could pick apart a lot of them. But that's the rules. That's how they're doing it, and we got to sort the hands that are dealt.
Right, absolutely.
That's what Gary was forced to do today.
Right.
I think all in all, he did a great job.
Fantastic.
40 girls, it could take forever. He did the best he could.
Absolutely.
The top 5 girls probably are the ones that belong there.
Right.
He did it a lot better than I could in that short period of time.
And that's why he's sitting down there and we're sitting up here.
That's right.
All right.
Exactly.
Guys, we'll be back from another commercial break to break down women's physique.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what, I was going to end up finishing the race that I started.
Hey everybody, we're back with Prime Time. We're still here at the Chicago Pro. Prejudging's over. It's time to break down women's physique. Brent?
I thought Sarah Vallejos looked really good. I think she was a great mixture of still staying feminine, the feminine muscle look, but she was dry. She had round muscle bellies. She came in condition. Her presentation was good. And, oh, by the way, she's a rookie. You know,
making her debut.
Making her debut, winning a deep lineup. There's like 29 girls in women's physique. So to do that, to step on stage, I thought was great. To round out the top five, I thought Brittany Bull. She might be a little bit on the smaller side, but she brought in really good conditioning. That's why she was in the top five. All the top five were very conditioned and ready to step on stage today. And I thought you saw a good top five call out by the head judges.
You know, it was very interesting because in this lineup, you had a really nice mix of a couple of rookies, and it looks like a rookie's going to win this show. Because you also had several athletes who had just won a couple shows in the last few weeks who ended up late first call-outs, second call-outs, and then you had some veterans here who, again, late call-outs, second call-outs. So it was a very interesting lineup, a very interesting mix. You have an ex-Arnold Classic champion who got pulled out into the end of the first call-outs. She didn't quite hit her mark, but again, she's always dangerous, and that's Autumn Swansen. So again, a very interesting lineup here. It looks like the rookie's going to end up pulling this thing off.
I tell you what.
Surprise.
So surprisingly, but it's deserved.
Absolutely,
you know
absolutely.
Something I was surprised by. I always like to talk about people who I might think get overlooked. Obviously, the judges do a great job. You know, that's their job. But as somebody just out, you know, being, I guess, the voice of people who are out sitting there,
Sure.
and then you talked about this as well, Antoinette Downing.
Yeah.
When she both came out, me and you were like, whoa, this girl is V-tapered, dry, conditioned, head to toe, just good. She's from Barbados. She came off a win last week at the San Jose. I thought she would have done better today. You know, she was actually in the third call-outs. So you know, like I said, women's physique, there's always new names, there's always new faces. You can never sleep, you can never stop grinding because things can even change from week to week.
You know, you have to wonder because, like you said, when she came out, we both thought it was her show to win.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She was popping, everything was there, but there's one thing that she was really lacking on, and that was her stage presentation, her posing. Her posing was really something to be desired. That might be something that moved her down, especially when you're talking about a head judge who specializes in posing and posing clinics for 20 years. Presentation is a big part of the sport. Perhaps that played a role into it. We don't know. We can't speculate, but that might be something for her to talk to him about. Because the physique was there. Brittany Bull, who was called out in the top three, she looked fantastic. You know, if things change for tonight, she could be pushing the rookie. It could go either way. So it's going to be very interesting. But again, it was a very nice mix of rookies, a few people who'd been around for a few years, and some veterans mixed with, again, an ex-champion, once a champion, always a champion, Autumn Swansen. Still looking to re-nail the mark she did back in 2015, 2016. We'll see. I believe she's set to do Tampa. I think, again, she's always dangerous. Didn't quite nail it this weekend, but I did hear she's set to do Tampa. Look out for her. We'll be back to wrap up men's classic physique in a minute after a few words from Lavroni Signature Series.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what, I was going to end up finishing the race that I started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Primetime. We're at the 2018 Chicago Pro. I'm flanked by a couple of Olympians here, Brandon Hendrickson, Chase Savoie. Let's get right to it. Guys, let's break down this pro men's physique. Deep lineup. Chase, what do you see?
So the Savoie show today. Great shape, great flow overall, good posing. Just need to sit on the abs a little harder. Brent, we're talking about that. But all conditioning, great look. I think he's what his physique is.
Yeah, same thing. I think Soroka brought his A game today. He was on point. His condition is hard. Like we were talking about, he needs to sit down on his abs more to show more detail in his abs. Another person that stood out to me was Michael Anderson. He came back after 2 or 3 years not competing. Came back. He had an incident with his leg, and he came back with a prosthetic leg. So to see him in the first call out was really cool.
And that's a guy who was a top 5 Olympian for many years.
He was at the first Olympia.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been around a long time. So welcome back, Michael Anderson.
Yeah.
It was really great to see you. Soroka looked fantastic, and this is his hometown. This is Chicago. You know, there was a lot of talk coming into this thing. You had a guy, Keith Scott, who has been competing show after show after show after show. And there's a lot of pride that goes on with these shows. A lot of ego as well. And those two were really going head to head and talking about whose town is this, so on and so forth. It looks like a lot of smack talk. It looks like Shabazz really did what he was supposed to do and hold court in his hometown. You know, it was a deep lineup though. Michael Bevins was right there. Michael Bevins looked like he was going to steal the show. Really good in the show. Guys, he might still end up walking away. I know we're all thinking it's a Shabazz show, but Michael Bevins was right there. He's not the biggest guy, but really tapers down.
Amazing tapers, great shoulders and arms, no waist, so it looks real good.
You know, you had a couple other guys out there. You had Collie Cordy. Once again, he finished 3rd in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. He's big, he was hard, he was dry. From the back, he was the best guy on stage.
He was, I think he was the most conditioned on stage.
From the front, his waist is a little big. Still got to work on bringing that down. Some of that is genetics. But he did the most he could with his physique. Again, he looked hard, he looked tight, he was big. He was
the best looks he's brought up.
Absolutely. Michael Lee.
Michael Lee. He's but I think he just competed earlier this year. He's been doing really well. He's getting the top 3 and top 5, so it's good momentum for him.
He's got good shape. I feel like he's a little bit softer this show than previous Good shape though overall. Good beat.
So, Brandon, what did you think though? This was a show where there was 28 guys or something like that. There's also a couple other shows going on this weekend. You got Vancouver. You've got a show in Las Vegas, I believe.
This weekend?
So you had a lot of pro athletes competing all over the world. Good lineup.
It was a good lineup in Chicago. Like you said, there was shows all weekend, and it's cool to see that the top athletes, even old Olympians, are coming to Chicago to compete and to see them on stage again after some years, especially Michael Anderson. So it was really cool to see.
Absolutely.
Big show.
Very big. Guys, stay tuned. They all think it's Chirac Shabazz show. I agree, he's probably going to win. However, Michael Bevins was in the middle for the majority of this thing. Akeem Scott, I just think he needs to take a break. He looked okay. I think he's getting worn out. You know, we've talked about it. He's got an Olympia to get ready for.
He's already got what, 50-something?
48 points.
He's got the most points.
Shut it down. Yeah, get ready for the Yo. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, alongside a couple of Olympians. I know you guys got some food to eat and probably need to go hit the gym before we're back here tonight.
Yep. In that order.
We'll be back from a commercial break with LeBroni's Signature Series.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what, I was going to end up finishing the race that I started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Prime Time. We're here at the Chicago Pro 2018. Chase Savoie has joined us. My co-host, Brent Swansen, still here. Brent, this was probably, besides the Arnold and the Olympia, this was probably the best classic physique lineup I've seen. Beating last year's New York Pro. And interestingly enough, this is a division that I think is going to be the most popular division now for the next 5 years. And one of the things is you have very many looks, shapes, and sizes. And that's something we saw here today.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much 1 through 10 were great, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like first call outs and then it dropped down the second call outs. I mean, these guys were fighting for top spots. Everybody looked like a pro, looked like they should be on the stage. Their posing was great, their conditioning was great. Every single one of these guys, even the last call outs, brought their best package. And when you see that, it makes bodybuilding look good, and it makes, as a fan, you want to watch it. And today, you know, a lot of these guys brought it. But at the end of the day, it was the Amit Wesley show. Those guys were 1-2.
Yes.
Those guys, you know, it's apples and oranges, though. They have 2 totally different physiques. I think the way the judges are going to go, Amit's going to win. But Wesley has so much potential, and he just, nobody looks like him. Like, he's kind of in a, if everybody's playing over here, he's playing somewhere over here by himself. But his look is so unique. I love his look. I love his look.
Chase, what did you see?
I saw somebody who's on the rise, like he was saying. I think Wesley's gonna be a huge threat in the classic division pretty soon. He looks like a mini Arnold to me.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
you know, his coach or his mentor, his father, I don't know, was sitting behind us as we were commenting, and I believe, Brent, you said it first, and I turned around and said he looked like Arnold, and I heard him laughing because this is supposed to be something they hear all the time. But we've got to talk about Amit Roy. This guy was peeled to the bone. He was dry. He was hard. He was gnarly.
I think if Wesley would have nailed his conditioning a little, coming a little bit drier, you know, I think that would have got him the win. But Amit brought the conditioning, and he's got a great shape himself.
Absolutely. And I think one guy is what, like 6'3", and the other one was maybe 5'3". I mean,
right.
You could not have gotten 2 more different competitors.
Yeah, 2 polar opposites, but yet they both deserve to be 1-2 here today.
Yeah.
What'd you see about the rest of the lineup there, though?
It's, I think 45, Aaron Feudal. I loved his look too.
Chicago guy.
Yeah,
his hometown.
Wesley himself. He's a taller guy too.
Yeah.
He looked really good too. Amit was just crazy shredded.
Yeah, he really was.
So.
Yeah.
I didn't see any bodybuilders really is that peeled.
No.
You know, you were talking about how deep this lineup went. You probably had 8 deep that easily could have been in the first call-outs, like I said.
Of course.
I can't remember another classic physique show other than the Arnold and the Olympia, that I saw this much quality. It was fantastic to see. This is going to be the division to be talked about. Brendan, it'll be interesting. This is really going to shake things up in that top 10.
You know, I think if Amit brings that, what he brought today to the Olympia, I mean, I don't see how that's not top 5.
It's tough to say. You know, you've
We'll
got,
have to see when he steps on
a lot of
stage.
other guys in that
But
top
something I want to
5.
say, too, is that, you know, I think even though we know 1 and 2 are above the rest, you know, I think Amit's a pretty solid choice for number 1. I think Wes is going to be second. You know, I think 3 through 8, 3 through 9, you're pretty much splitting hairs. There wasn't a lot of difference. It wasn't like this guy's a clear 3, this guy's a clear 4.
Kevin Johnson was really sharp.
No,
Kevin Johnson,
yeah, he was very sharp. He has a great vacuum.
Joseph Russo was really good. Like you said, Aaron Feudo was there. Kevin Wilson wasn't in a first, or really the end of a first and a second call, and he looked pretty good. He just needed to be a little drier. So for a guy who only needed to be drier, ending up maybe cracking, barely being able to crack the top 10, that told you how good this lineup was here today.
Yeah, good muscle quality. I put really good posing. Really
This is not a class today that you wanted to come in a little bit off.
Right.
If you came in a little bit off, you're not going to be where you want to be.
Absolutely.
Too deep of a lineup.
Best lineup we've seen here today. Guys, stay tuned for this evening. Be sure you follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. Everything is already up on the website. Until tonight, guys. Brent Swansen, Chase Savoie, Mandus Buckle. This is Primetime. We'll see you this evening.